Once again, good morning, everyone. And let me introduce myself. I am Pawan, and I'll be the course instructor for this Power BI desktop course that we are going to cover over the period of next uh, session of almost 30 hours. And then about me, I work as a BI developer or data analyst, and I've been into this field for almost 6 years now. I've been working for a reputed company, and as far as my experience in this uh, training is concerned, I have already completed the 8 batches, and this is the ninth batch. I'm doing it for the Technest Academy. And yeah, that's about me. And let's start talking about the Power BI course that we are going to discuss. Just a second, let me start sharing my screen. Please let me know once you can see the screen from your end.
Or it's not visible yet, Pawan.
Yeah, just a second.
I will request everyone to go on mute if you don't have any question, if you're not speaking. So for Pawan, you as well, like you have an option of mute all. If you think you're
Yeah,
getting some background noise, you can mute all.
sure, I'll use that.
Sure, thank you. Are you sharing a screen, Pawan?
Yeah, I'm trying to share the screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's visible now. Can you show the syllabus? Yeah, fine. Thank you.
Yeah. So this basically is the syllabus that we are going to discuss over the period of next 30 plus hours. Okay. And it starts with the first thing, the basic thing, that is getting the data into Power BI. Let me just zoom in a bit so that it's easily visible. Yeah. So first of all, we'll start with getting the data into Power BI from different sources. And when I say different sources, what I mean is the sources like the CSV files, the flat files, and the sources like the databases from the backend, like the SQL Server, MySQL, and then the Postgre. Okay, and we'll also discuss on how to bring the data from the website. Okay, and not just that, when we get the data into the Power BI, we will discuss the storage modes in Power BI. The thing is that Power BI has the import mode, the direct query mode, and the live connection mode in which the data can be brought in and stored in Power BI. So we'll discuss what those things mean and what are the applications, advantages, and disadvantages of those particular storage modes. Okay, and here we'll also start with discussing some of the basic concepts, like what are the building blocks of Power BI, what are the components of Power BI, okay, and the general installation procedure as well. Okay, and as I said, once we get hold of the data into Power BI, we'll start learning about the basic ETL process that can be done within the in-house tool of Power BI named Power Query Editor. So what all are the different transformation processes that happen within Power Query Editor? Those will be discussed in very much detail. Okay, so like the things like cleaning the data, trimming the data, removing unwanted columns or rows, establishing the data types, creating the transformations like let's say altering the values by multiplying by a common percentages, like let's say that in the sales data, if there are discount percentages, how do we get the discounted value? Okay, the merging of columns, appending of columns, and what is meant by bringing the data from the folder into Power BI. Okay, and what's the difference between merging and appending? Okay, and all these things we'll be discussing in the transformation part. Basically, here we'll be discussing on how to use the in-house ETL tool of Power BI, which is called as Power Query Editor. And not just that, here we'll be discussing about the usage of parameters as well. Okay, what basically are the parameters and how parameters are helpful in filtering the data dynamically before it comes into Power BI. So all those things, and creating conditional columns, custom columns, okay, all those things will be discussed in this part. Once this is done, we'll be moving into doing the data modeling in Power BI. Now, data modeling essentially involves discussing the data warehouse concepts first, because data warehouse concepts are the ones based on which the whole data model of the Power BI relies. Okay, so we'll discuss the data, some of the data warehouse concepts, and then we'll look into what is the need for the data model. And in this case, we will discuss what is the normalized data, what is the denormalized form of data. Okay, and then we'll look into how to create and edit the relationships, basically how to maintain the cardinalities, one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-many. What are the disadvantages of many-to-many relationships? Okay, and how do we overcome that disadvantage? That also we'll look into. We'll look into different schemas, the star schema, snowflake schema, okay, and what those mean and when can each be implemented. Okay, and then we'll look into the filter directions, that is a filter flow directions, and how do they impact the way the data moves within the dashboard. Okay, so all these things will be discussed in the data modeling in Power BI. And then we go on to discuss the data visualization part, where actually the reporting happens. So first thing here that we'll do is we'll try to understand the different visuals and their meaning. Like, let's say, for example, there's a visual called as bar graph. So in what scenario a bar graph is used? In what scenario a line graph is used? In what scenario a simple thing like a pie chart can be used? So we'll discuss on when and in which case each of these can be used. So those things. And yeah, anyone has any question, please?
Yeah, hi Pawan. Here I have one question. Good morning.
Yeah. Mhm.
So basically, Power BI is reporting tool and as well as a storage tool, right? Because in while you are saying that you said that we can store the data also in we can store the data in Power BI also, right?
Yeah, the thing is, we can store the data in Power BI, but the thing is, Power BI is not a database. Okay, it is a reporting tool wherein we can store the data in Power BI as well. That's the thing. So there's a mode in storage. I mean, there's a type of storage mode in Power BI called as import mode, in which actually we can store the data in Power BI until and unless next refresh happens. It'll be refreshed only once you press the refresh button. Is that clear?
Okay. Yeah.
But mainly Power BI is a front-end tool, that's the reporting tool. Okay, and the data usually is coming from some data lakes or data warehouses, or sometimes even if the project is very much smaller in magnitude, then it would be sometimes like the CSV or flat files as well. Hope
Okay.
that clears the point.
Yeah. Thank you, Pawan. And one more thing, do we need a knowledge on knowledge of Unix also to learn? I mean, while learning Power BI, we need a Unix knowledge as well, because do we need to write any queries or like that, like to connect with the database from different sources? Do we need like that any
No,
Unix?
we don't need the Unix
Okay.
coding knowledge. Okay. However, to connect with the different data sources, which usually will be the database systems. Like in most of the organizations, they get the data from either, I mean, by writing the SQL queries, or maybe getting the data from MySQL, or sometimes Snowflake, or sometimes Azure Data Factory. So basic thing that is required is you should know the SQL as well. SQL until forming the joins.
Okay.
Okay,
Mm,
so that is very much essential, because let's say there are some 10 tables stored in the backend. Okay, and you are supposed to get uh, one table which is the result of joining of three tables. Okay, then you should be able to write that query to get you a view which will get you that one particular view from those three tables by making use of, let's say, left outer join, inner join, and various other joins. Hope the
mm,
point is clear.
Yeah. Thank you, Pan.
So SQL queries is important. Okay.
Mm,
Yeah.
Thank you, Pan.
So here, as I was explaining, the visualizations, first we'll try to understand what kind of visuals to use in which scenarios, and thereafterwards we'll go on to discuss the types of visuals that are available in Power BI to accomplish the business ends needs. Like there's a table chart, there's a bar chart, cluster column chart, there's a stacked column chart. Okay, there's a pie chart, donut chart. Okay, and there are various lots of options to do in the front end of Power BI, through which the visualizations can be customized into required form by the business end. Okay, and there are things like the bookmarks, the drill through, drill down, the tooltip buttons, the KPI cards, waterfall chart, and we'll also discuss about the custom visuals. Custom visuals are basically not the visuals which are already there in Power BI, but they can be downloaded from the third parties who actually develop the custom visuals for Power BI. So we'll also discuss the scenario where we can use the custom visuals instead of the visuals which are already there in Power BI. So this is about the data visualization part where the actual reporting will be done. And then this is the most important aspect of Power BI, which is called as the DAX, or data analysis expression. We can say that this is the front end coding language of Power BI based on which the entire reporting works. Okay, so whenever we say DAX in Power BI, we mean two things, that is either calculated columns or measures. Okay, so we'll discuss in detail what is meant by calculated column, what is meant by measure, and importantly, what is meant by row context based on which the calculated columns work, and what's the filter context based on which the measures will work. Also, we'll discuss what are implicit and explicit measures, and we'll start discussing from very simple functions like if else, then we'll talk about the switch function, and then we'll talk about the aggregation functions which are mentioned here, sum x, average x, related, and then there is also lookup value function. All these things we'll look into, and then we'll talk about the different types of the count functions, like there is a count a, there's a count if, there is count x. Okay, all these functions we'll look into, and once these simple functions are done, then we'll talk about the most important function in DAX, which is called as calculate function, and how it allows us to calculate an expression and apply the filters as well. Okay, and once the calculate function is done, we'll talk about the filter function and filter modifier functions, which are these functions. Okay, and there onwards we'll also discuss about the table generation functions, which are helpful for us to generate sometimes the summary tables, sometimes the short version of the original tables. Okay, and we'll discuss about the logical functions like the logical and the logical or. Okay, so all these functions, and we'll talk about the concatenation as well, and then we'll discuss about the time intelligence functions like the ones which are mentioned here. Okay, and we'll also talk about the variables. Okay, how to use the variables while creating the DAX. And this is not just limited to this, there are various other functions also that will cover, like the selected value function, okay, the has one value function, which are normally used to customize the front end in Power BI. So this DAX section is going to be very much elaborate, because this covers from very basic till the advanced DAX functions, which we normally use for reporting in the day-to-day projects in Power BI. Okay, and yeah, then comes this Power BI service, which is the cloud platform of Power BI, wherein we can use this platform to publish our work into this cloud platform called as Power BI Service, and which can be again reviewed by the ultimate business end. So basically, Power BI Service is used to share and collaborate our work. And herein we'll look into what are the different versions of licenses available for Power BI Service. That is the free versus pro versus premium, and the premium per user. Okay. Here we'll look into how to create the workspaces, how to publish the reports, creating the dashboards, apps, installing the gateways, scheduling the refreshes, what are the data flows, creating the layout of Power BI report for mobile app, and we'll discuss on what is meant by static and dynamic row level security, and what is meant by incremental refresh, when it is applicable, and what are the conditions for implementing incremental refresh, all these things. And yes, once all of this is covered, we'll discuss in detail the interview questions, which will involve the conceptual questions and answers, as well as the scenario-based questions and answers. And along with all these things, we will be developing 2 dashboards by taking the data from different sources from end to end, which will be nothing short of the actual project that happens in the BI world. Okay, so this is what the course content going to be. Any doubt from anyone, please, people?
Hi, Pawan. I have a doubt.
Yeah.
Like after each topic, once we done, like we will get some hands-on to work on, or we will work at the end only on the projects.
No, the thing is, in each class, I mean, basically after each class, you will be shared 2 kinds of files. One is the classwork, where you can do the exact work that we did in the class. Also, along with that, you will be receiving a homework file where you have to complete the assignment as well. Okay. So after each and every class, there'll be classwork as well as assignment work to be done by you guys. Okay.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
like hands-on after each and in hands-on in each and every class and after each and every class. It's like that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other doubts from someone?
Even this is not related to Power BI technical question.
Mhm.
Will this add a weightage to the data engineer profile?
See, I'll tell you what. So basically, when you say a data engineer profile, what you mean is the person who will be working on the database management systems and ETL tools, right? The dedicated ETL tools.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the thing is, let me tell you about the profile weightage adding. Okay. So whenever a data engineer is involved in a project, he'll be responsible for managing the backend. Yes. Agree? or not?
Yes. Yes, Pawan.
So basically, getting the data from the backend and making sure that the views that you have created are helpful for the front end tool. Now, the front-end tool will be the tools like Power BI, or in some cases Tableau or Grafana, or maybe even some things like the ClickSense. Sorry. Okay. So the thing that happens is you will be knowing, let's say the data, if it doesn't match in the front end, okay, you being a data engineer, you will definitely know if the data is failing from the back end, because you'll be able to write the queries, do some transformations in your ETL tools, and see if the data flow is happening from backend till front end. Okay, and if you know the Power BI as well, then if something happens from, something wrong happens from end to end, you'll definitely know where the things are exactly going wrong. Okay, so I would like to say, if let's say you are something like a data manager, okay, or let's say the data analyst, or the product owner, who is supposed to have the knowledge of the end-to-end tools as far as the BI development is concerned, like the backend tools like ETL tools, as well as the front-end Power BI tools, then this is definitely going to help you. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
Any other doubts from anyone else?
Yeah, hi Pawan.
Hi.
Do you use the data source of only CSV file, or do we work on SQL servers database as well?
Yeah, the thing is, I'll show you how to bring the data from SQL Server, then MySQL, then also how to bring the data from any database, basically. Okay, I'll show you how to bring that, and by using the the parameters, I'll also tell you how to limit the data coming from these different data sources. Okay, and yeah, for our course content, I'll be using the CSV file. To develop these dashboards, I'll be using the CSV or flat files, because the thing is, I cannot afford to keep all the servers running on behind in my system, like they do in the organizations, right? So because if you know, to make sure the dashboards they work properly, then your servers always need to be on. Okay, so the thing is, I'll definitely tell you how to work based on different data sources, but for our project course content, I have converted those files into CSV or flat files, which we'll be using throughout the course. Hope this clears the thought.
Yeah, got it.
And the thing is, apart from the point of bringing the database from different sources, there isn't much difference. Okay, everything else is the same itself. Okay, like the front end thing, like writing the DAX, it doesn't depend on which data you're working on. Okay, so yeah, we will bring the data from most of the data sources. However, we'll be using the flat files to run our course. And the thing is, it's also easier for me to share the flat files with you for the classwork and the assignments, instead of sharing the whole database. So it will make the thing complex. Okay, so yeah, that's the answer. Okay, is it clear?
Yeah.
But one thing I'll tell you, let's say if someone asks you in the interview that which data sources you have worked on, after completing this course, you can definitely say that you have worked on the SQL Server database, MySQL, Postgre. Okay, so that you can definitely, be assured of. Not a problem at all.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Anyone else has any doubts before we proceed? Okay. So now let's talk about why this course. Okay, so first of all, the reason I would suggest you this course is, see, the thing is, we will be developing two dashboards, and two very elaborate dashboards side by side parallelly as the course moves on. Okay, so if you have a look at this, we already have, these are the two dashboards from the last batch, which was the end result. Okay, and not just that these dashboards were developed, but these were developed and published into Power BI service, and on top of that, the scheduled refresh was done, and we did create the workspace where we published this, and we discussed how to share this everything. Okay, and this dashboard is, it's an elaborate dashboard in the sense that we have done lots of transformations as well. If you look at the Power Query editing steps, okay, lots of ETL also has been done in the same dashboard, and that has been done from the Power BI end, like cleaning the data, okay, creating the parameters. Now, if you see, I have created parameters so that we can bring the data from SQL and also limit that. Okay, so everything has been done in very much detail. And very important thing, I will never proceed until each and every one of you understands every concept that I'm explaining here. If any one of you have any doubt, I'll make sure that 100% it is cleared, and then only we'll proceed with the discussion. Okay, so that is one thing. And one more thing is that the course that we are handling here, it covers most of the things. I mean, almost everything in one particular manner. Like if you look at this, uh, at the start, we are covering the how to clean the column, how to get the column quality into the required form that we want, and how to split the columns. These are all basically the ETL tool functions that we are doing. And once this is done, there are the class works and assignments also which are shared, which you can see in this same panel. Basically, this is the Graphy portal on which everything will be shared. What all is covered in that class and what will be the classwork and assignment. Also, the recording will be shared for that particular class. And slowly we'll be moving on from simple concepts till the complex concepts, till everything is covered. Okay, so this is about the course, and yeah, this will be really helpful for you guys. Okay, any more doubts before we proceed with the basic introduction? Okay, so let me start with just a second. Okay, so we'll talk about what is meant by BI first. Okay, so basically Power BI, which means the Power Business Intelligence, if you talk about the specifics. So what is the business intelligence? So in simple terms, the business intelligence, as you see, and I hope you're able to view my screen, everyone, right? Is the screen visible to all?
Yes, yes.
So business intelligence, as you see here, it can be explained in a very simple diagram, that is converting something like this into this. Now, what we have on the left-hand side is, is a simple spreadsheet, and spreadsheet has different columns and different values. Okay, but however, to get something out of spreadsheet just by the naked eye, it is kind of very complex thing to do. You'll not be able to determine the patterns of the records here. You'll not be able to find anything which we can say is the outcome or result of the historical data that we have here. However, if you convert this kind of data into this, and this is what we call the business data. Business data is the one which you can clearly derive insights from, like the one we have here. If you see this, what it says, YTD sales, that is the year-to-date sales for this year, is $11.53 million. And there's also one more sign here. Compared to previous year, basically it is decreasing by how much percent? Minus 0.83%. So, and not just that, below that, you can also see the trend graph. Can you see this? And this trend graph means how the sales has varied in recent times. Okay. And if you look at the second diagram, what it shows the top 5 products with respect to YTD sales. And it gives you that information in the form of a bar graph, which you're able to see here. Okay. And thirdly, if you see this diagram, it gives you the geographical distribution of certain entity, and that entity here is the YTD sales again, and it is showing you the distribution of sales across the USA. Okay, so this kind of data is helpful for business end to drive, to make the decisions. Okay, and that process of converting this kind of data to this data is called as business intelligence. Okay, now as easier as it might seem, but the actual process is not very straightforward. It involves it involves certain particular steps, okay, which may vary depending upon the configuration that they have in their own organization. Okay, but yeah, this is what the business intelligence ultimately in a long run looks like. Okay, so this, what you're seeing right now, is called the high level architecture of the business intelligence. And it starts from the left-hand side and ends at this particular thing. So let's try to have a discussion on this. So what we have on the leftmost side are the data coming from the different sources. Like, let's say, for example, some of the data might be coming from some relational database management system. Some of the data might be coming from some Excel sheets, Google Sheets, or flat files, CSV files. Okay. And some of them might be coming from some of the transactional systems. Some of them might be coming from, let's say, the SAP systems. Okay. So the bottom line is the data coming from all the different systems is extracted and brought into a common stage. Okay. And this platform is called as staging platform. And in staging platform, here what happens is ETL. And ETL actually stands for extract, transform, load. Okay. Extract, transform, load. And here, what we'll be having is some of the dedicated tools which are used to do the ETL exclusively. The tools like the Informatica, the tools like the tools from Oracle and the tools from the Azure. Okay, so such dedicated tools will be used to do the extract, transform, load. So basically, the thing that will be done here is data will be cleaned. Okay, the unnecessary rows, columns, unnecessary tables will be removed. Okay, and the transformations will be done, like let's say establishing the data types, creating the joins. Okay, and let's say again creating some custom columns, conditional columns. Okay, basically some calculations, expressions. Everything will be done in the ETL part. Okay, and once this transformation is done, this will be loaded into this central repository which you are seeing here, which essentially is called as the data warehouse. Now, the data warehouse actually is a set of tools and procedures which is used to make sure that you keep the historical as well as the dynamic, that is the current data, in your system, and it is always available for anyone to access. Okay, I mean until they have the access permissions. Okay, and this data is essentially used to create the reports in the front end tools. Okay, it might be anything like the Tableau, the Power BI, any front end tool basically uses the data coming from the different data warehouse systems. Okay, and within the data warehouse, what happens is that we can call it the silos of data, and these basically are the subsets of the main data warehouse, and these subsets are made depending upon the domain that you're working in. Like let's say you have one data mart for sales, one data mart for operations, one data mart for the marketing requirements. Okay, and based on whichever domain you're working on, you will get those particular subsets into your BI tools and ultimately end up creating the reports in the front end. Okay, so this is how the workflow happens in any organization that does the BI related work. Is there any doubt with respect to this, people? Okay. Moving forward. So as I said, this is the thing wherein from the data warehouse we create the smaller subsets which are essentially called as data marts. So as you see, the data warehouse will be having lots of data, like let's say it has the metadata, it has the data in the summary form, or in some cases it has the OLTP data as well, the raw data. Okay, and all of this can be used to create these subsets. That is, let's say the tables only related to sales, tables only related to marketing, the tables only related to the employee details. So all these are called as data marts. Okay. So, so basically what we derive from this is the raw data is hard to read and draw the conclusions from in their form. Okay. And hence we use the BI tools to convert the raw data into the business form of data, which is, I mean, it is easier to draw the conclusions from. Okay, that's why it is called as business data. And there are some sample BI tools which are used quite regularly, which are Power BI, there's Tableau, the ClickView, Alteryx, MSBI, SAP BI, and there are various other tools like Spotfire, Grafana. Okay, so all these are dedicated tools which are used to do the business intelligence operations and importantly, the front end reporting. Okay, now among these tools, Power BI is very often used compared to everything else. The reason for that is Power BI has ready-made connection with more than 100 plus data sources. Okay, and not just that, Power BI has the integration with the tools that they regularly use in the office, like the Teams, the Outlook. Okay, so it has direct connection with those. Okay, and also Power BI is a bit cheaper to business end compared to these tools. So that's the reason Power BI is very popular among all these BI tools. Okay, so that's the thing. Now coming to the Power BI. Okay, so Power BI, if we look at it, it's not a single tool, but it is a stack of components. Now, what are those components? The first one is the Power BI Desktop. Power BI Desktop is an application which you install in your local. Basically, this is supposed to be installed offline in your system. Okay, and that is what Power BI Desktop is. And you can open the Power BI Desktop and work offline, create the reports. Okay, and that's all you can do. You can create the report from end to end. Okay, and then we have Power BI Service. The report that you create in Power BI Desktop, you make use of Power BI Service to publish them, to share and collaborate the same with your team. Okay, so that's where the Power BI Service comes in. Okay, and then there is the Power BI mobile app, which almost, I mean, people almost don't use this Power BI mobile app, because the thing is, whenever you talk about the Power BI, you talk about the reports and the visualizations, and mobile is not a very handy app when viewing the reports is concerned, because one report might contain many pages and one page might contain many visuals like you're seeing here. So this is easier to look into this desktop view, but however, if you want the mobile view for this, it becomes very compact and it is hard to read as well in some cases. Okay, and then we have the Power BI servers, which basically are installed in the server systems, because they will feed the Power BI to the rest of the systems. Okay, and there's also Power BI report builder, which is very much similar to SSRS tool, and this is used to create the paginated reports. So these are the different components of Power BI. Okay, so this is why each and every tool is basically used. Power BI Desktop is used for these things, basically getting the data from different sources, cleaning and transform the data, model the data, visualize and analyze the data. Power BI Service essentially is a cloud-based platform which is used to publish and share and collaborate the work that was done in the Power BI Desktop. And Power BI mobile app is almost not used for developing purpose. However, if you are from the business end, you can use it just to review the content which was created by the developers. Okay, so that is the only part where Power BI mobile app can be used. However, they don't use it. They use the desktop versions itself to review the content most of the times. Yeah. Any doubts till now, people? Okay. So let's talk about the next important thing, that is the building blocks of Power BI. So these are the building blocks of Power BI, basically the data sets, the visualizations, the tiles, the reports, and the dashboards. Now, first talking about the data sets can be of different forms. Now, data set can be of the form of, let's say, the CSV or flat files. Data set can be of the form of the Excel workbook. Data set can be of the form, there's a thing called as Power BI data set itself, or presently we call it as Power BI semantic model. It can be in that form. Essentially, data set is a file which contains the data, which can be used, as simple as that. So data sets are the essential building blocks of Power BI, because this data coming from the data sets is the reason we we build the reports, because if we don't have the data sets at all, that there won't be any reports at all. Okay. Then we have the visualizations. Visualizations in the sense, the graphs, the line graphs, the let's say the maps, the bar graphs, the pie charts, the donut charts, all these different visualizations which will help you analyze the data easily. These are also essential building blocks of Power BI. Now, when we say the tiles, if we open a Power BI report, okay, so if you see, for each visual, there is a specific space here, which it engulfs, and this particular space is called as tile. Okay, so this visual belongs to this tile. This is another tile. So is this one, and so are each of the visuals. Okay, so tile means each separate visual. Okay, so like this, if you see at this title, it also has a specific tile space. Okay, so these are nothing but the tiles. Then reports. If you look at this PBIX file, this is a report, and the thing about a report is that report consists of many pages. Like this is one page, there's one more page. Okay, so basically there are multiple pages in a report. All these pages together constitute this one big report. And the purpose of report is always to show the data in the business form, so that the business decisions are easier for the business and people, as simple as that. And then there comes a thing called as dashboard. Now, as far as the business intelligence is concerned, people use these two terms synonymously. Like they sometimes call it report, sometimes call it dashboard. However, when it comes to Power BI service, reports and dashboards are different. Okay, let me repeat. When it comes to Power BI service, reports and dashboards hold a different meaning. Reports are the one which you create in the Power BI desktop, and the dashboards can only be created in Power BI service. And there are some specific differences as well when it comes to reports and dashboard that we will learn while dealing with Power BI service. But yes, these are the basic building blocks of Power BI. Okay. Now let's have a look at the general GUI of Power BI desktop. If I open, let's see, I'll open a new instance. If I open a new instance of Power BI desktop, you'll be able to see the views of Power BI. Okay. So I'll go to home, and then I'll open a blank report. Okay. And if you look at this, currently it is in, if you see the report view, if you look at the left panel, there are the different views which are available. There's a report view in which the reports will be created. There is a table view in which you can view the tables if they are there in your Power BI desktop. If you bring the tables, they'll be available here. And then here, the data model will be visible. Let me just open another instance where we already have those things, and let me explain that. Okay. Now, currently, if I ask you, which view are we in? Anyone?
Dashboard view.
Basically, this is the report view. Okay,
Report
we
view.
are in the report view where we are able to see the reports. Okay, but if I come down, table view, here I'll be able to see all the tables. Right now we are in all measures table. If I go to the cash flow table, it looks like this. If I go to the film table, it looks like this. If I go to some other table, so I'll be able to view those particular set of tables. Okay, then we have excuse me, this model view, wherein we'll be able to view how all these tables are connected. Okay, how all these tables are connected. So we'll be able to look at the model view, basically whether it's a star schema or a snowflake schema, what kind of join is, or basically what kind of cardinality is established between the different tables. What is the filter flow? We'll talk about filter flow in very much detail right now. You don't worry about it. But all these things we can see in this view called as model view or data model view. Okay. And now there's a new there's a new view as well where we can see the DAX as well. Okay, where you can run the DAX queries also in our model. Okay, and we'll look into this when we actually learn about the DAX. Okay, because currently we haven't dealt with any of the DAX, but once we do it, then we'll look into this as well. So basically, it will help us evaluate our DAX formulae, as simple as that. So basically, Power BI has 4 views. One is reporting view, where you can view the reports. Second one is the table view, where you can look at the tables. Third one is the model view, where you can see the model, data model basically. And fourth one is the DAX view, where you can see the DAX queries. Okay. So these are the different views. Okay. And along with that, it has various tabs at the top of it. And not just that, it has 2 more panels. One is the data panel. Okay. In the data panel, you will always be able to see the different tables that you have brought in the Power BI. And there's a visualization panel. In the visualization panel, you will be able to see the type of visualizations that are available to be brought in or made use of in Power BI Desktop. Not just that, it also has the formatting option with respect to each visualization. For example, if I click on this particular visualization, the formatting pane gets altered or suitable for this particular visual. Like, let's say I can change the color of the rectangular tabs which are here, or maybe I can change or include the legends. I can on or off the data labels. Right now you see, if I off the data labels, the figures will go off. Okay, which are there if I keep it on. So similarly, with respect to each and every visual, there'll be formatting options. Okay, and all of this will be discussed in very much detail. Okay, and again, at the top, if you look at this, there is a home tab, there's an insert tab, there's a modeling tab, view tab. Okay, right now you need not worry about this. This is just getting to know how of the basic GUI experience. But once we start working in Power BI, we'll discuss each of this in very much detail. Okay, so yeah, these are the different views of Power BI. Okay, so yeah, any doubts with respect to anything which is covered till now, people? There is one. Okay. Any doubts, people? Okay. Fine. And if there are no doubts, then we'll stop it here. And starting from next class, we'll start with this next portion, that is Introduction to Power Query Editor, which is the in-house tool of in-house ETL tool of Power BI. And then we'll look into the workflow, and we'll start with the first thing, that is connect to different data sources, we'll look into how we bring the data from different sources into Power BI desktop, and we'll start creating the reports gradually. Okay. So yeah. Fine. Let me just stop my recording.